to me what's so. Why am I like this? Something's always amiss. Can't put my finger on it, but it's there. Wait for it to subside, but my mind won't apply. Waiting for the clear. Is it bad sometimes? I like it when I lose control. There's something in it that's so beautiful. Listen, I can see the light but I can also see the bones decay. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm doing my best not to run away. Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it'll cave in and swallow me whole. Wondering how the world keeps on spinning, kinda scared of living when it unfolds. Hard to see the light when everything is dying, waiting for the clear. Thankful I'm alive, but terrified of dying. But hey, I'm still here. Is it bad sometimes? I like it when I lose control. There's something in it that's so beautiful. Listen, I can see the light but I can also see the bones decay. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm doing my best not to run away.
You're the night sky trying to make me see your stars, but the dark gets so lonely. Now I see violet, I can feel silence. In the dark's all that I see. When your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find violet in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. Be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You're the night sky hiding behind dark gray clouds. I can't figure you out now. I see your
Right, good morning everyone, and very welcome back to The Playing Guy, with me, The Playing Guy. I hope everyone is doing fantastic today. I know I certainly am, and I'm very keen to try this flight again. Now, just a quick heads up everyone, unfortunately Twitch is down today, so what this means is that we're having to now go off and we're doing it on YouTube. Alright, because normally guys, if you are familiar with what I do, I normally stream my stuff on Twitch and then I try and put it over to YouTube. But no, today it's going to possibly be the other way around. But either way, what we're doing today, well, we're actually going to be doing a D-Day tribute flight because the 75th anniversary with that, 75th, no, 77th even, was actually on Sunday. And for anyone knocking about on Twitch, you would have actually known that we did actually try to do a flight with that. The slight problem with that, though, is that we had loads and loads of technical issues. So I managed to finally get them all fixed, and we are good to go. So what exactly are we going to be doing? Well, we're taking this, obviously it's a Dakota, C-47, DC-3, whatever you want to call it, and I've just remembered, why have we got no chocks on it? There we go. So yes guys, what we'll be doing with this is we'll be taking off here from RAF Cottesmore, which was actually the starting point for the D-Day offensive for this specific airplane. Now this specific airplane is actually part of the 316th Airborne Division. They took off from RAF Cottesmore to drop parachute, I forgot what you call them, parachuters, parachute troops, I really don't know, to a place called Sainte Marie. I think in English it translates to St. Martin, something like that, but we're pretty much just going north of Cordington. But I'll bring up my maps and we'll show you what we are doing. Right, so let's go and have a look. Right, so in terms of what we're doing here, like I say, the 316th Airborne, which is what this livery is. I really feel quite privileged that we could get that. So what we're doing is we'll be departing RAF Cottesmore, because that's obviously where they left. It's a shame now, actually, because that base is closed. It was an RAF base. I think most of its action was actually after the war. But even still, we can do it on a sim. So we depart Cottesmore, which is just north of Wittering, just northeast of Peterborough. So it's roughly in this area. There we go. And say I recognise Oakham because that's one of our VRPs today. So we'll take off, head out towards Oakham. From Oakham, we're then going to Delta Tango Yankee, heading off to Daventry. And then from that, what we'll then try and do is heading out towards Chipping Norton via Banbury. So Banbury, Chipping Norton. And then if you actually look at the original route maps taken by the 82nd Airborne, what we'll then do is we're pretty much heading out towards Gloucester, Cheltenham area. Then we'll start following the coast out towards Thornbury. Now I do actually have the original maps here used by the Western Air Force, which were the American forces, the American C-47s dropping the paratroopers in. There we go, paratroopers, that's it. And then obviously what happens really from here. Now if you've actually seen the maps, it's not the easiest of things to actually judge because it doesn't really tell me where the start variable certain turns. But roughly it looks to be around about Thornbury area, it's around about here. So what we're then doing is we're taking a south-southeasterly heading to go to a point called Milford Abbas, which is just west of Blandford Forum. And there's actually an airfield around here, Tarrant Rushton. And during the actual D-Day offensive as well, this is actually the point where RAF forces first took off from. The first RAF forces took off from Tarrant Rushton. So we'll probably go and have a look at that. But no, from that, we're now to a point that looks to be Milton Abbas. Then from that, we're on a south-southeasterly heading via Portland to a point northwest of Guernsey. I have done a radio for that. And then from that, obviously, it then splits into two different segments. The first one being the 82nd Airborne, and the second one being the 101st Airborne. The 82nd Airborne took more of a route which takes it towards Port Vale there, and then pretty much on a north. Actually, no, I think it went. Goes round about more like here and then drops paratroopers in mainly from the north. But what we'll do is we're going to be following the 101st Airborne. We'll be heading out to a point just north-northeast of Jersey, which is just a beam off Le Hay, there like so, and then we're coming in north-northeast. And really the drop zone is round here. The actual village itself is this one here, Saint-Mère-Église. And then from that, obviously, we've got the Normandy beaches here, which we can obviously go take a look at. And then the plan is to actually head out to a village around here. I forgot what it's called, Ranville, which is where British paratroopers dropped, and then we'll be following that route back north, which takes us pretty much north, and then on the boundary between England and France. It's then north-northwest out towards Bognor, and then from that it looks heading out towards Popham area, and then from that we're going north-northeast, pretty much Swindon, Cirencester area, to follow the Western forces back up into the UK. Obviously from that as well, I'll be discussing various things. Also, the problems we actually had last time were to do with the scenery. I've since fixed those, alright, because I didn't install it right. The only problem we've got with that is Orbex I have got Orbex on for England and Wales and all that sort of area, but once we're pretty much on the French boundary, I'll need to stop this in for a second to load up the Normandy area, because there is a bit of a conflict with the sceneries, even if I do have the priority higher. So that's something that we'll need to go off and do. Right, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the airplane. Let's get ready to go. Like I say, it's going to be a very, very long stream today. We're talking about 6 or 7 hours. It took me at least 2 hours, well over 2 hours actually, just to get to our first point. Now, speaking of the various points here as well, the point just northeast of Guernsey, we're calling that point X-ray. Then off Jersey, that's point, point X-ray off Guernsey, point Yankee off Jersey. And then, is it? Yeah, that's point X-ray, that's point Yankee. And then what about point Zulu? Yeah, point Zulu is pretty much Ranville, but even though I've already had a bash with the scenery, and you know what, guys, it's absolutely lovely. So, like I say, in terms of VFR flying, I've already got the maps of France. They're very vague, but even still, I've already had a bash around there, and we can fly it very well. Alright, so let's head into the airplane. Let's get ready to go. I should also point out as well, everyone, we are on VATSIM, so we will be following some of those procedures, even though there's no ATC within our sector. But even still, it's something we do need to take note of, and we won't actually be dropping real-life paratroopers, even though there is an option for it in this airplane. Right, let's get into the airplane. Let's get ready to go. Right, I'm just going to get rid of the yokes here. Just want that up there like so. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the fuel, because this thing will drink fuel, alright? I want a full load of fuel on. Alright, that's good. And I'll tell you what as well, we'll just lift the armrest up here, but I'm more than happy to go straight through the checklist. This is the Manfred, John and Jan Visors DC3, which I have actually got a repaint for. So we want the call-outs, please. Stewardesses on board.
Good morning, Captain.
Good morning, Ernie.
Here we go again. Another day, another dollar.
Hi,
Most
boys.
certainly it
Hi,
is.
Nancy.
Right, so that's the before starting checklist. Now, I'll tell you what I'm actually going to go ahead and do. Get some
Yes, Captain, just a moment.
external power onto the airplane. Because there's a few things I just want to go through and set up just before we go through the before start procedures. Heads up, this does get loud. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is going to make sure the gen switches are on. We do need to have the fuel pumps on to start, but I'm just going to leave those off for the time being. Mission can go to on. Nav lights plus one, that's not a problem. Those on. The inverter and radio master can leave off for the time being. Right, radio altimeter, I want that on please. Set that to that. I like to run that set to 200. Manifold pressure's okay. Just want to make sure there's nothing too overwhelming with the yeah, that's another thing actually. Need to make sure the altimeter's set up right. I'm just going to cheat and hit B and C. Oh, is it B and D? No, it's B and D, isn't it? Oil temperature should be equal with the 08C. Where's the 08C gauge on this? It's roughly about 20 degrees today, and it's roughly showing that. That's fine. Cylinder head temperatures. I should actually point out that I've just actually had the engines running a little bit, so they should still slightly be a bit hot. So that's totally fine. Hydraulic. Well, we haven't got the back. Well, we haven't got anything running yet, so that naturally should be off. Throttles, yeah, that's fine. Just making sure that everything's okay with the airplane. Now, one of the things I want to do as well. So that's a VHF1. We'll turn that on as well. And the volume to max. Well, it's just making me a bit difficult to hear things in this airplane. Right, I don't touch the transponder until the engines are running. Right, let's go ahead and let's do the before start items then, please. I don't remember what's
Before start checklist. Parking brake.
We also need to make sure the doors are closed there as well. Yep, parking brake set.
Before start
Cabin secure,
checklist.
Captain. We're ready to
Parking
go.
brake set and checked. Doors
They're closed.
Battery on. Ground power.
You can get rid of the
GPU disconnected.
GPU.
Generators both on. Beacon
Yep, beacon can come on
is
now.
on. Nav lights
They're on.
checked on. Cabin signs
They're on.
is on. Ignition master on.
That's on.
Magnetos checked both off.
Check.
Fuel quantity.
Check all
Left
tanks.
main, right main. Check auxiliary. Check auxiliary. Check fuel selectors.
Now I always just do the
Checked.
quick one with this
Heartbeat.
because obviously
Checked
I
on
can't see
cold.
what the FO side
Trim.
is. I'll
Set
leave
to
that
0.
to
Cow
his
flaps.
responsibility. Full
Full
open.
open. Mixture.
Idle
Idle
cut off.
cutoff. Throttle. Throttle is
Cracked.
cracked. Prop control.
Prop control is full forward.
Full forward. Plate
Check the
controls.
trim. Yeah, trim's fine. Alright, here we go. Now I'm just going to open the window here as well. Let's have a look. Right. Well, is this not... Can't really see out this window. It's alright, we'll just go to the external view and we'll just do it out here.
Rudder full left. Rudder full right. Ailerons left. Ailerons right. Elevator full up. Elevator full
check.
down. Before start
There we go.
checklist complete. Okay, let's start engine 2.
Okay, so the way I start the engines in this, obviously you have to count blades because obviously they're old radial engines. So obviously I'll have the FO count while I put all the systems on. So fuel pumps will come to on and we'll engage the starter, but you have to do it in a very certain way, otherwise it doesn't work properly. So
Clear prop.
Starter. Cranking to right. 3, 4, 5,
There we go.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
15, mags
Mags
on,
on. Both on.
mixture,
Mixture.
auto rich,
Checked.
and we'll start priming.
Prime. Engine 2 starting up.
More throttle in. There we go, she seems to have fired up nicely. Is it me or haven't we got any sounds for this? She doesn't appear to have... I don't know if this thing's fired. Oh yeah, she's fine, she's fine. Right, RPM, manifold pressure, oil pressure is good, fuel pressure is good. That's why I don't like to leave the fuel pump on for it though. Obviously it's good with the start that you do that. There we go, sounds a bit better there. Okay, so starter, engage
Starter.
that, and I count
Engine
blades.
is cranking. 3, 4,
4,
5,
5,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Mags on.
Mags on.
Mixture auto rich.
Mixture. Prime. On. Engine 1 starting up.
There you go. Looks good.
Oil pressure's coming up.
Now we'll do the before taxi items in a minute. Just want to make sure all this is good. And obviously, because now the engines are fired up, take those two on.
Engine 1
that's not
stabilized.
functional, landing lights. I always leave the P2 on just to be on the safe side. Fuel pumps come to off, auxiliary pumps, that's fine. And we've got good electrical output on the gens. Lovely. Okay, how we're doing with the engines then. Good RPM, good manifold pressure, good oil pressure. Fuel pressure is slightly a bit more in. Hydraulic pressure, that's what I want to look for as well. That's good on both sides. Carburetor air temperatures, cylinder head temps, they're coming up. Oil temperatures are also coming up as well. Okay, great. So for takeoff, I want to make sure that they are set to... Oh, no, I've not done that right. Yeah, didn't think on auto rich then. Yeah, just want to make sure that's set to auto rich. Right, because now we've got some power on the airplane, we can plan for the first few points here. Okay, so just want to see what the weather's like here actually. Because one of the things I also liked doing this on Sunday was the weather was absolutely crap in France. And it was very similar in the fact they had a very low overcast layer, similar to DD8 itself. I'm not too sure what the weather's like today, but just go with it. Okay, so the surface wind is 230 degrees, gusting 6 knots, so we'll have a long taxi out for runway 23. The good thing about that is we can just take off and go in a straight line out towards Oakham, and then obviously that means we don't have to muck about with some of the circuit stuff. So take off 23, slight left turn to Oakham. From Oakham, the plan is then to head out towards Market Harborough. Never say that right. And then from Market Harborough out towards Delta Tango Yankee, and we should have no problem whatsoever climbing up to initial 5,000 feet. So we'll go ahead and set up the autopilot like that. So I don't really like to use the autopilot. I'll only ever have it on for short points because obviously I'm having to manage everything. Also tell people as well that with VFR we'll squawk 7000. Comms will monitor Unicom 1228. Actually, I should be doing this in the airplane, shouldn't I? Alright, so nav 1 goes to 1, com 1 goes to 1. We're not going to need anything else, so 1228. It's really nice that we have a few more modern instruments and avionics with this airplane. So 1164 for Daventry. When he actually wants to tune in, can we go? There we go. So yes guys, what we'll obviously just do is wait till Airbourne. We'll just take a radial bearing off that, see where we get. I'm also just going to flick the transponder onto... No, that's test, what I thought it was. Yeah, I'm just going to turn that on now, put it back to 7000. Alright, I think that's alright for us then. Super. Right, can we have the after start items then please, or the before taxi even? And all of them are...
Before taxi checklist.
I'll just go through it anyway.
Inverters.
They're on.
Before taxi checklist.
Obviously this is not functional, this is the older style radio panel.
Before taxi checklist. Avionics on. Magnetos. Both on. Fuel pumps.
They're off, not required.
Tail wheel.
Unlocked.
Unlocked.
Which one's the
Flaps.
tail wheel again? Yeah, there we go.
Checked.
And that's the parking
Mixture.
brake, so we'll release
Auto
that.
rich. Wheel chocks. Off.
Are they
Before
actually off?
taxi
That's
checklist
actually a good point,
complete.
because I always forget to turn them off. Oh no, it says the chocks are off. Alright, that's fine. Right, let's get rolling then. Oh, she's eager to go today, isn't she? Right, so in regard to the taxi here, just like any other World War II tail wheel airplane, it's not the easiest thing to taxi. But recently, guys, I've actually been flying the A2A Spitfire. That thing is actually a bit of a nightmare to taxi. So we don't necessarily need the entire runway, but we are taking a full active load here. So obviously we full up, similar to how the Dakotas would have been. That being said, obviously they would have lost half the airplane's weight would have gone out the door, obviously, when paratroopers went out. So obviously there would have been an extremely radical change straight off with the airplane to load. Like I say, we're not going to do that today, so we can expect fuel usage to just be a bit higher. But then I always put in full tanks anyway. So I'll tell you what, I don't think we need the entire runway, so I'll just halfway down I'll put her onto the runway, in which case I'll just go flaps.
Flaps.
Just go
1.5.
flaps, in this case half. I don't even know if you're meant to steer this thing using differential braking, but it's not the easiest thing to taxi, I'll tell you that. The problem you've got with these older airplanes is that you've got nose wheel steering, just like you have with a lot of planes nowadays. The only problem is that it's connected to the rudders, so sometimes you can have problems in crosswinds, sometimes, like I say. What problems do you have with this? Yeah, it's not as sensitive as the modern ones are today, because look, the rudder full right, and in some airplanes that'll put the nose wheel steering straight right, so they're very sensitive, but not really good these. Right, let's get ready to go. First point of call is Oakham. Okay, on the before takeoff checks, please.
Before takeoff checklist. Mixture.
Auto rich.
Before takeoff checklist. Mixture. Auto rich. Prop control. High RPM. Trim. Set and checked. Flaps.
Right, saying that we
Check.
only need one
Flaps.
quarter.
Flaps. 1/4.
I'm a little quiet, am I? Right, give me a second then, mate. I'll try and fix that. No, appear to be alright, but I've just turned it up anyway, mate. Just hopefully should help you out a bit. These airplanes are not quiet, obviously. Come on, girl. Cow flap set to trail.
Set trail. Landing lights.
Yeah, you can put those on.
cow flaps, set trail, landing lights.
I don't think it does. I
Oh,
think I've just
fine.
got to run it through like this.
Pitot heat
Right, full right, full right, full right.
checked. Fuel
Yeah, I
pumps
just always leave it on. Fuel pumps on,
On.
please. Now what
Tail
they're going to
wheel
do is they're going to lock that
locked.
tail wheel. I
before
can't.
takeoff complete.
Nah, I don't have the tail wheel locked at all. Because it helps with directional stability. Right, here we go. Obviously I've checked Vitastic, there's no other airplanes in the vicinity at all. The only thing that's coming near to us is wow, a Huey, which has departed where's that come from? An airfield called Andrewsfield, which is near London, so no real factor. Alright. Right, let's go to Normandy, same takeoff power. Right, I always keep forgetting, takeoff power 2,700 RPM. Right, she's going a little bit over the, little bit too much down the RPM, just gonna leave it. Got no idea what that sound is. That could be anything, that. I know what it is. I've left the windows open, haven't I? I probably climb gear up. That's what I've done. It's not really too much of one of these low levels. Right. Lovely jubbly.
Gear up and lock, no lights.
Thank you very much. Right, set climb power, please. Just refer to the tables here. Climb power. Now what I normally do is I always set the RPM straight off because I never really change it that much, and I usually set about 2,300. But then usually the manifold pressure I stick about there, and for about 70% on the props. Like I say, we are heavy, so I don't really like doing it this early, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Up the engines a little bit. Right, that's a little bit too low. Actually, no, I think that's spot on. We can put a bit more in, look for about 73%. Right, lovely. Normally I'd have the FO do that if I'm flying. Right, now where is, that must be Oakham there. Like I say, it's just a slight right turn. Okay, now have I got myself relevant headings? Yes, heading 121 degrees to Market Harbour, but once we actually climb a little bit higher for about 5,000 feet, then we should easily be able to see it. Because normally what I end up doing is let's have a look here, where's me? Yeah, there's usually a town called Corby, which is really quite noticeable at height, and it's just slightly to the right of that. Easily able to pick it up. Right, can we have the after takeoff checks, please?
After takeoff checklist. Landing gear.
Up and off.
Flaps.
They're up.
Flaps up.
I thought I put
Landing
them.
rods
Oh, never mind. This is why we have the checks.
are off.
I turn them off just for that. Fuel
Fuel
pumps,
pumps
turn them off, please.
off.
I always leave the
After
landing lights on
takeoff
below
checklist
10,000, which means we'll have them on for the entirety of the flight today. Okay, so a look heading of 212 degrees. Just a second, actually, because there's a road that just runs out of it, so it's possibly going to be this one on the left. Right, we do need a bit of rudder trim, that's normal. Especially if I have... I always need quite a bit of rudder trim actually in, especially on the climb. She seems to behave herself in the cruise, but in the climb. Normally I set it for about 0.8. And she's climbing nicely. Keep it on local pressure. I'll look for 212 degrees. Right, we'll also tune Daventry in as well. Make sure we are heading off to there. So normally what we're doing here, everyone, is we're just trying to head out towards Gloucester, Cheltenham area by trying, and the way I've planned it is that we want to try and avoid controlled airspace best we can. so that way we don't actually have as many ATC restrictions. As well as that, we need to head out there anyway, so we can follow the route the 101st took. Alright, I've overturned the airplane here actually. So this does look a bit different actually. Don't tell me I've already got myself lost. Right, so that's Cottesmore, or Cottesmore, whatever it's called. That's obviously Oakham. Right. So that's got to be Corby then in front of us. Yes, there we go. There we go. That's Corby there. So it's roughly round about here somewhere. Yeah. It is to the right of it, so I think that's got to be in front of us. So a little bit left aileron in there like so. Right, how are we doing? T's and P's are all fine, like I say, once I set climb power straight off, she behaves herself very nicely. Right, so that's fine. So I'll switch to the next maps here like so. So from Daventry, like I say, we're then off to Banbury. Banbury's massive, so we'll have no problem spotting it once we're actually overhead the VOR, and then it's from Chipping Norton. Chipping Norton a little bit more tricky to see, but it's not too difficult. Mainly it's just actually, well, if anything, we could actually... Oh, I didn't realise that. Yeah, it's just there's a road, there's a major road that goes for it, so obviously we can use that for identification, and then from that it's pretty much directly on a west heading out towards Gloucester, and that's very easy to spot, so we shouldn't really have too many problems with that. Right, just going to ease up on the rudder trim a bit, look for about 4, 5. 5's good. Right, time for some screenshots. Okay, so is it giving me a... Where's my plogs gone? Okay, so I've not actually done a heading from Market Harbour, mainly because we've actually got the equipment to track Daventry direct. And what's it giving me here? It's giving me roughly about heading off 212 degrees. It'd be a lot nicer if we actually had a pointer. I forgot what you call. I've honestly forgot what you call the gauge. Because the only thing we've got here is we've got OBS, and OBS is a nice tool, but at the same time, obviously, you want something like that, don't you? But I don't know how. I've honestly forgot what your gauge is called. It'll come back to me later. But now it pretty much tells you where to go, very similar to what an HSI would do on the older airplanes. A VOR pointer, that's it. That being said though, we also have GPS. We can use GPS, we are allowed to do so, but only as a secondary reference. Okay, so it's roughly showing heading of 210 degrees. So we can do that a little bit later on then, so keep on a right hand turn. Something else I should also point out as well, everyone, is we're also going to be doing some DC-6 flights as well later on this week. Really do love flying that, the one from PMDG. It's absolutely brilliant. And yet again, one of the things I like flying about these old warbirds, even though the DC-6 wasn't a warbird, is that yes, they are older airplanes, but at the same time, it's nice that you've got some more modern avionics in it. So that way it does make it a little bit easier to fly. No, mate, this is not FSX, this is P3D, mate. This is P3D. And a lot of the stuff, mate, I'm using here is actually free. This here is the C-47 via Jan Weiser and Manfred Jahn. This is also available for FSX as well, if you're still using that. Lovely. Seriously, this is one of the best airplanes in the flight sim world, and the fact that it's free as well is just amazing. I actually did a review for this as well for flightsim.com if you want to go check that out. Yeah, P3D, mate. Right. I need a little bit of help with navigation now, because I do actually think this is Market Harbour. That's obviously got to be Corby, hasn't it? Let me just see roughly where I am on the map. That's not helpful, is it? Yeah, I think this is it. I was going to say, what's the vicinity to... obviously, in real life, you can't do this. Right, I think this has got to be it then. So we're just east of... Give me a second here. Because the problem is... Right on a fold line. So it's slightly a bit more east actually, so... But there is not really any... That could be it there. Right, never mind though, we can track straight direct towards Delta Tango Yankee. One of the things, once we actually get over to France, the scenery is it's very, very easy to navigate via VFR. Extremely easy. Right, heading 217 degrees then. Right, hang on. Left in this case, okay. Hang on, is that what it's saying? 217. I don't even know my left and right. No, right. Oh, it is, mate. Yeah, I've been doing an awful lot of it as of recently. You know, the thing is, I've just took the airplane off, put her at pitch. I've just done my power settings, put it in pitch. She's just absolutely going beautifully today. Really, really good. All right, speaking. Oh, right, we've got some clouds in front of us here. Right, let me just try and get some accurate navigation here. So, call it about 220-ish. The thing is as well, one of the things that does annoy me with the Orbex here, because that's what we're using. We're using Orbex True Earth. Really great scenery. The only problem here is it would be nice to actually have them physically sort of build the VORs, because themselves, you can actually use them as visual reference points. Just give me a second as well. Yeah, weather's fine. I have checked the weather today. We have got a few clouds knocking about here and there, but that being said, no real issue whatsoever for doing VFR. Once we actually are, if we can, I'm going to see what the weather's like. We're going to try and maybe go higher to maybe about 9,000 feet. But I need to see what the weather's like around Bristol and that. Because the last time we tried to do it, we were VFR on top, but we had absolutely no ground reference whatsoever. So in fact, we're IFR. Alright, so I'm still going to keep tuning local pressure here. It will be changing a little bit. Okay, so it says broken at 132. That's really good for us. And I'm just looking to see if it's got a few cloud. No, it's not. Right, so that's not bad, but it's not good at the same time. Yeah, we're just right on the thick of that cloud. The good thing is the temperature's really like we're right on the limit for icing, so potentially these clouds have got some icing in them. I mean, it's a really, really nice day, yet again, if anyone's from the UK. The only problem with this being is we're only at 4,000 feet. It's middle of June almost, and we've got icing in these clouds. No, we're not picking up icing, obviously that's not simulated, but even still, want to be careful for it. Alright, we'll look for 3,000 feet then. I'll tell you what I'm actually just going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit, just because I want to review my maps. Obviously I'd have the FO do this if I could, but I can't. So we'll go Alt, heading, VNav. Alright, well I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go Navlock. So down to about 200, look for 3,000 feet. Alright, so bound to Daventry. So from Daventry then, what we're doing, like I say, Banbury, very, very easy to spot. Chipping Norton, heading is roughly still the same on about 212 degrees. Yeah, 227 I got here, then it's 260, so pretty much almost due west, outbound towards Gloucester area, then out towards the Thornbury VRP, and then at which point this is where things will start to get a little bit more complicated as we're following a set route, but I've got absolutely nothing to go off with the route. All it is a line on a map. The original route, obviously, the 101st took. And of course, guys, I will be talking a little bit more about the D-Day history once we do get a bit closer to Normandy. Right. What's the wind like today? Right, so it's slightly a headwind. We are. The airplane does not look straight and level to me. It's not so much straight and level, it's just a drift. We've got a little bit of a drift on. Obviously I don't have my CRP5 today because that thing's just broke, otherwise I would be doing time and distance calculations. Right, there we go, can level her off there. Start to enjoy flying a bit more. Like I say, I don't really like using the autopilot, it is cheating, but this is certainly not a one crew airplane. You certainly do need more than one person on it. Whoa, easy, easy. Just get her in trim range, she should be alright. Lovely. Now, of course, Silverstone Racetrack is actually somewhere around here. It's not too far away. It's relative where Daventry is, which will just be around there. We want to be looking around here. There, oh, there it is actually. Not the best scenery for it, but it'll do. Yeah, no, it's just actually went a little bit to the left too much. I was going to say, usually it's fine in straight and level flight. You don't really need any rudder trim. I mainly notice it on the climb out, if anything. Right, lovely. Are we still on course? Heading required is 217. And what heading are we currently on? See about that. Right, we do actually have traffic outbound of Birmingham, heading off to Malta, 737. Other than that, no real factor. Okay, 5 miles. It's the Daventry VOR is actually in a built-up area, well, in a little bit of a terrain-sensitive area, as I like to refer to it. So there's a few hills knocking about. So it must be around there somewhere, actually, in real life. Let's try and find it. There we go. There's like a little bit of a slit. So it would be about there somewhere, according. Yeah, it's going to be about there somewhere. Come on. The problem you've got with also trying to fly level in the flight sim world is you'll get it in trim range, you'll get it on 0, and it kind of goes like that. So it'll eventually settle out. So you can hold a block altitude, but you can't hold altitude that well unless you've really got the autopilot on, I tend to find. But so that's why I'm constantly readjusting. Alright, so we're looking for Banbury now. And that's it out there. So, relative with the heading from that, because I've also got one outbound down towards Chipping Norton, so we can look for 227, in this case about 230 degrees. Yeah, she's wanting to go down quite a bit now. Normally I'd put a bit more power on, but I don't like to do so in this airplane. Just like to leave it just so. Of course, everyone, I do not normally ask for donations on the channel. But if you are wanting to donate, just to let you know, all donations today will go into the RAF Benevolent Fund. Alright, let's try and readjust here. 230, the magic number. Looks like she is drifting again, doesn't she? But it looks like the airplane is not. Is she level? I'll just stick a little bit of rudder trim in, just a tad. See where we get. I can only tell you that's way too much, so let's just put in 0.1. Yeah, that makes life a bit easier. Right, let's see if we can get some screenshots here. We are using chase plane today. Oh, that's a nice screenshot there. And let's just see if the trim will naturally start adjusting itself. Because if you choose any random altitude, then fair dues. But having flown this thing for a while, it's really quite weird how it levels off, because she's not really moving, is she? I expect to start coming up now, so she's quite stable actually. So it looks like I'm just going to have to constantly keep retrimming. A bit of a different flight model I'm used to. Lovely. I wonder if Twitch is up yet, because if Twitch is up, don't take it personally, but obviously that's the primary streaming thing for anyone that's watching on YouTube, so we will be going off to Twitch, and it does look like it is back up and running. So what I'm actually going to do, guys, is I'm just going to go ahead and we'll go back and we'll start streaming on Twitch. So I'll try and do what I can to salvage as much as I can from the video, because I do want to make sure that I do leave one available on the YouTube channel. So I shall